everybody, Gina DeLuca here. Okay, just one more of these and then I'll switch it up, I promise. But I'm going to be doing another of the rose Boulder pours. I call it a rose cloud pour if I'm using the satin enamels, because that really does have kind of this milky, cloudy effect to it. But the metallics are, I call those the Boulder cells. They look like boulders. They have a very 3D effect, particularly when you use colors that are kind of in the same color family, just like different values. And when they blend together, it just looks like shadows and highlights, and it just has the most amazing effect. So the colors that I'm using today are Liquitex Basics Cadmium Red Deep Hue. This is a great color for doing straight pours as the background color. I have the DecoArt Americana Decor Metallics in copper, bronze, and the magical 24 karat gold. These paints have been mixed 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. And then that mixture is thinned with my concoction of 90% water and 10% Floetrol. This helps to prevent over thinning. It's very easy to go too thin very quickly. And using the Floetrol water mixture just kind of seems to help prevent that from happening. The consistency that we're working with, this is a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears very quickly. It makes a very thin stream coming off of the stick. I know it's really hard to get a good angle for you guys to see. Maybe if I use a lighter color. But you can see, hopefully, that it's making a mound and it's disappearing pretty quickly. So that is what we're working with today. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards. Each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paint brands and colors, and the consistency, the recipe, and of course the technique. This is the picture of the painting in that video. This box here contains a tip for that particular technique, and here at the bottom you have the color palette that was used in that painting. And then these 2 boxes can be used as the basis of a 2-color palette, or you can build off of those colors. There are also 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. You can mix and match the bonus color palettes with the technique cards and have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. And if you do get them from Amazon, please do leave feedback. It's very helpful to the sellers over there. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is pour some paint in my cup. I want to make sure I have enough paint in my cup to react with these cell makers. I do cover the edges first, especially on straight pours, and especially if I'm using Floetrol, because they are mixed pretty thin, and you may not get the coverage on the side. The canvas can show through. But even if I were using a thicker consistency, or say like mixed pouring medium has really good coverage on the sides for straight pours. I don't get the same results with the metallics with the mixed pouring medium, but I get the good results with the satin enamels. So that's why I'm using Floetrol right now. But these round canvases are kind of puckered on the side, just the way that they are wrapped. And the paint is not going to flow evenly over the side. So if you are using a round canvas, it would behoove you to cover those edges first. Even like with this tool, it's not going to cover because there's raised edges. You can see it like bumping along. So what I do, I'll put some on my palette knife and just use my finger to cover the sides. That is going to be the best way to get that coverage. I don't know why every time I do a video the cats need to have a spat. I think Satchmo hears me talking and wants to play. And Bigsby says, "No way, sir." And making sure that there is some wet paint on the side will make it easier for the paint to flow more evenly. But you're never going to get full coverage on the side on these round canvases. It's just the way that they're made. So it's better to be proactive than to have to come back and fix it after it's dry. Okay, my base coat is down, and so now I'm going to put some paint in a cup. I'm going to start with the copper. Always check your consistency before pouring it in the cup. The sauce may thicken upon standing. Even if you checked it right before you get started, check it again. Okay, pouring from up high, I want the paint to sink. I want the paints to blend. It may seem tricky at first to pour from up high. You will get used to it. I was a bartender, so it's a natural thing for me. Okay, now the bronze, again from up high. And when you do it like this, when you pour from up high, it's kind of counterintuitive. Like you would expect whatever the first color, the first cell maker that you put in, which in this case was copper, you would expect most of that to be laying at the bottom, but it does kind of churn as you pour the other paints in. But at the very bottom of the cup will be some of the last color that you put in. Something that just seems to work out that way. Watch this one make me a liar. But that's what gives me the little rose in the center. Okay, and now I have a bit left over. And I'm going to just come over top because all those cell makers that came to the top, they need a paint to react with to make cells. And even though this part's probably just going to get tipped off anyway as I spin it. Old Bernie 2 times, doing what he do. I like to pop the bubbles in my base coat so they don't pop up through my pour. Okay, you can see those cell makers are popping up again. So I will, this is more paint than I need for sure. A lot's going to get dumped off. So I'm spinning clockwise and evenly but slowly. Just keeping the stream in the center. The paint will push itself out and give you some groovy Fibonacci action. And doing it this way gives a really nice, even distribution of cells, of the Boulder cells. I think I just saw a piece of schmutz falling there. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Okay, so as I get towards the end, I will get closer to the canvas. And I'm waiting for the gold to come out of the bottom. Here it comes, it's coming. This is what makes the cool center rose. Here we go. I'm going to change direction, come back, come around again, change direction. I find this little action of changing direction to give a very petal-like effect, like a flower bud. Ooh, 10 on the dismount. Okay. I don't breathe on those dismounts, let me tell you. Okay, I'm going to center this. Make sure my bud is centered. Everything else will work out if my center is centered. I'll just keep spinning until it's covered. And because this canvas is leveled to the table and not the spinner, I have to keep it moving or it will tilt off of one side. I'm going to pop these bubbles. This technique creates a lot of bubbles, but that is what helps to give you cells. As the bubbles from the layers of paint that are underneath come up, it brings some of that paint with it. And what is causing these cells? It is not from the different paint densities. It is, that would be the Rayleigh-Taylor instability. This is actually a hydrophobic effect. The Basics paints have more gloss to them than the DecoArt paints. The DecoArt paints dry very matte. And those matte paints push away that glossy paint. So If you check out my video number 20, I explain how to test your paints to see what would work well together. That was when I first came up with the theory of what happened. In videos 15 and 16, which were the first two straight pours, as far as I know. I'm sure somebody did it first, but nobody put them on the YouTube, so I didn't know about them. But through all of my years of experimenting, I have found that matte paints and glossy paints together will create cells. Okay, and for straight pours, it is good to let them percolate. Let the paints percolate in that puddle. Let the cells pop up, because the ones that pop up before you tilt are the ones that are going to get big, juicy, Boulder type cells. This 24 karat gold is so bossy. And this is just what was at the end of the cup. And all of these like 3D looking Boulder cells are probably going to have to get tilted off, unfortunately. But sometimes the coolest things we wind up on the edge, and we just have to learn how to part with that. Okay. Yeah, you can see there's still more popping up. And they pop up and they get bigger because it's pushing the other paint away. And I cannot just let this sit and percolate because my work surface isn't level. So I do have to keep it moving so it doesn't all tilt off to one side. It is what it is. Just spinning slowly as it percolates. How to adapt. You know, we're not all gonna have perfect art studio situations. You may not have, you know, a level house, a level work surface. I know my last place, it was the house that wasn't level because some tree branches or tree roots made it not level. It was level and then it wasn't. And so I developed my system, which is using these cup hooks. These are like things that you would hang your plants from the ceiling. And I put them in the bottom of my canvases, and then I level my canvas to wherever it's going to sit to dry. So I wouldn't level it to the spinner. I'm going to level it to where it's going to be drying. And I even mark that space off, like on my table, exactly where it's going to be sitting. And use a level, an actual level. Do not use your eyeballs. Your eyeballs are going to lie to you. It only needs to be slightly off to really change in a big, big way. So definitely be mindful of that. I am just going to touch this swirl up just a hair. That's it. That's all. Okay, I'm going to give this a spin. You don't need to spin fast. You don't need to fling the paint on your walls. You'll see mine doesn't go like more than an inch past the spinner. It'll get there. It doesn't need to happen fast. The longer it spins, the more it stretches out. Paint can move a lot over time. That's why you level your canvas, because you can lose a whole lot of your composition if hi Bigsby. I checked your food before I started, so you're not starving. Oh, jeez. Okay. More spinning. Oh, Bigsby. You would think that, like, he hasn't eaten in years. I just put a can of food out 2 hours ago. But if you know cats, you know that nothing upsets a cat more than seeing the bottom of their bowl. Big money, no whammies. And I want to make sure I'm not leaving too much paint on the canvas, because that's not a good thing. If you have too much paint on your canvas, it is more likely to shift on you. It could pull back up into the center of the painting, especially if it's a big painting. It could crack. So you want to make sure you get enough paint off, and kind of after a while you'll get to know that when you tilt it, you see how fast it moves, and you can kind of determine whether you tilt it off enough. But also, a thing with straight pours is the more you stretch them, the more cells you get. That is just the nature of the straight pour, because what happens is the top layer gets stretched, and that gives the paints underneath an opportunity to pop through, and then it's pushing the paint away. So you can see I'm getting cells here popping up. Oh my gosh, Bigsby, okay. Yes, I love you very much, and I will refill your bowl in a moment. Sheesh. I'm pretty sure this cat speaks English, just so you know. They have really gotten very vocal during my videos lately. I don't know what what's going on with that. Okay, I think that is enough. There was a lot of paint that came off of there. It is so hard for me to mix small batches. Those, you know, just mixing that half a cup is really hard, but you also like need enough in the cup to be able to sink and churn to get these reactions. So, okay. That is more waste of paint than I have had in a long time. I should maybe just stick to 2 colors when doing these, but I wanted to see what would happen with 3. Really looks like the gold is being very bossy. And, but still very pretty. I'm not angry. So I'm gonna let this sit, and I will bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. Got a cool Fibonacci thing going on overall. And the center has that groovy rose effect. Although that gold is very bossy and kind of swallowed up that background color. But there it is. I'm not angry at this piece. I think it came out really pretty, very dramatic. If you want to get yourself some of these DecoArt paints, I am an affiliate. There is a link in the description box along with the code that will give you a 20% discount. So do check that out. I always get mine from DecoArt because A, I know that they're fresh, and B, they have more colors in stock than most stores. Most places don't carry all of the colors that are available. Really super dramatic, very pretty. I'm kind of obsessed with this technique right now. I hope y'all aren't sick of it. Each one gives a different result. You know, this is kind of in between the first one and the ones that came after, because there are kind of those rings, but there's also boulders. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click that like button. And if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you are a subscriber already, make sure you have clicked that bell so that you get notified when I put up new content. YouTube changed how they notify people, and I think less than 1% of my subscribers are seeing my videos. It's like 0.03%. It's crazy. And I can only imagine that it has to be people aren't being notified. But there it is. So do check out the description box below for links to all of my affiliates. If you use those links and the discount codes, I receive a commission at no additional cost to you. I'm an affiliate for DecoArt and Blick, Color Art, Arteza, and Amazon. So any of your shopping that you do on those websites, please consider using my links. You'll also find in the description box the link to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and the fluid art inspiration cards for sale. And of course, the cards are also on Amazon. You will find the link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. Get some inspiration. All right. Well, that is it for me for today. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.